when it's dark and
Yeah, I'm
I
sending it now.
can't see clearly, I will lift mine eyes to the hills from whence my help cometh. My help it comes from you. Lead me, oh, lead me, oh, lead me where I never been,
Jamina honored, you know.
place I never seen before. When I come to the end of myself, Father, carry me. Father, carry me. When I come to the end of myself, Father, carry me. Father, carry me. My brother Romain. When the road is long and heavy, when it's dark and I can't see clearly, I will lift my eyes to the hills from whence my help cometh. My help comes from you. Lead me, oh, lead me where I've never been before, a place I never seen before. When I come to the end of myself, Father, carry me. Father, carry me. When I come to the end of myself, Father, carry me. Father, carry me. I know my help comes from the Lord, one who made heaven and earth. You're mighty, yes, you're stronger than any other. Yeah. One thing that I desire of you, that I may dwell here with you forever and ever. I'm chasing no.
When I've come to the end of myself. Now this is a beautiful song here by Kevin Downswell. Lord have mercy, I almost get myself in problem saying what I shouldn't have said. But beautiful song here by Kevin Downswell alongside Romain Virgo. Reggae mix, and you know reggae is the most beautiful song on earth. Oh, you guys not seeing me now? So sorry about that. Here I am. Welcome to another Chill and Chat. Welcome to all those who have joined me on the live right here. I see 3 persons on, but of course, you know, later on I know that it's going to pick up. Really don't worry about that stuff, but today is gonna be an awesome day, and I promise this because of the person that I'm going to be having on here today. I'm sorry. No, we've had several special persons on this Chill and Chat since we started on January 1. January 1, oh my god, it has been what, 7 weeks, because I missed 1 week, a week before last. I missed 1 week, but all the persons that have been a part of Chill and Chat have brought some sort of renewal to someone. It has brought some encouragement, and it has been going on fabulous. A lot of people are saying, why this and why that and why you doing that and why you doing this. But trust me, I am really and truly happy for what is happening with Chill and Chat. Now, the young lady that we're going to be talking to today is her story is very unique. It's not specific to her, because I'm certain that As a matter of fact, she have so much story it's not even funny. And to be honest, she is quite humble. She's very humble because when I spoke with her, I think we got linked up somewhere about Tuesday or so. She was just so bouncy and so mellow and so nice, and one of those persons that you'd enjoy talking to. And so it was really great that she would have agreed to be a part of Chill and Chat this evening. So this time I have no reservations whatsoever to welcome to Chill and Chat for the very first time. Well, everybody come here for the first time because I don't like me having a repeat guests yet. But I want to welcome today the woman herself, and I'm going to say Tasharae. Hold on the Lord Jesus, this out of focus. Oh God Almighty. Why make 4-2? Is this happening now? Yes, so Tasharae, it's Tasharae, right? You can unmute now, my friend. It's Tasharae, right? Okay. All right, welcome to Chill and Chat, Tasharae. How are you?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I
You got
am.
that correct.
Yeah, me they hear you now. Me they hear you. How are you doing? You're not hearing me? Oh, sorry. Oh, that. You're hearing me now? Yeah, the mic was not on. How are you?
Oh, I am doing great, thank you. How are you?
I am doing fabulous. It's good to have you here on Chill and Chat. I want to say good afternoon to Jamina Patience, who is, you know, on the chat saying big tune and corrected with that. It's not Jermaine but Kevin. Tasharae Nicholson, my God, very young woman. No, every single person that comes on Chill and Chat, I ask them the same question: who they are. So, who is Tasharae Nicholson?
Who am I? That's a very interesting question. I think that's a great question.
You think it's a great question?
I do. I just don't know if I can answer it today.
You don't know what?
But it's a great question. Don't worry. Actually, I consider myself humble.
Yes.
A servant at heart. I really love the Lord. And it's kind of contradicting because I think I'm somewhat stubborn. So you're loving God and being stubborn, it don't work.
Yeah.
But I do the will of the Father. So pretty much I love God. I love to help people. I love to serve people. I am creative, very creative.
Mm-hmm.
I think I love children. I've
You
been saying
think
that
you
I
love
love them.
children?
Yeah, so I want to. I don't know if I haven't had enough of them around me since of late, so I can't say the statement the same. I love them because I'm an early childhood educator by profession, but I have not
Oh,
been around them in so long, so
okay.
I can't say that right now. But I think I love them. I
You,
love
you think you
children.
love them?
I do.
Just a reminder for those persons who, it's a regular thing. Chill and Chat today is brought to you by 2512 Smoothies and more. Yeah, give your stomach a healthy surprise. Because I was a bit late, and I want to apologize to all those persons who have joined me. I'm a bit late because of the traffic and all that. So I didn't get to pick up my smoothie, Tasharae. I'm smoothie less this evening. Vian would have sent my smoothie. That's what she sponsors. She sponsors me a smoothie every Friday, and I would chill, chat, and drink my smoothie. But
Aren't we supposed to have smoothie
ah,
though? It's
well, you see,
just
the thing
it's
is,
just
it's because of this whole virtual thing. Yeah, it would probably wouldn't work out the way that we'd want it to work out. but
okay.
but it could be any drink. It could be any drink. Right? All right. So Tasharae, we had a preliminary discussion on your life basically, and of course, as I always tell my guests, Chill and Chat is really to help others. With the persons that come on here, we talk about things that they have been through. We talk about their testimony, how they got out of whatever they were in. And your story is actually quite interesting because you have not only gone through one thing but a multiple of things. And I had to slide it across. And that in itself is it interests me because I know that when we talk here this evening, a lot of the things that you would talk about, everybody would, or most persons would be familiar with some of what you have gone through. So let's start with where you are now and how you got there.
I am at a place where I'm seeking to coach others to build them, build them psychologically,
Mm-hmm.
personal development wise through the word, and just helping them to become more self aware
Mm-hmm.
so that some of the things that I would have gone through as a
Mm-hmm.
naive individual, a
Right.
young, naive young girl,
Mm-hmm.
I would educate them or expose them to some of the things that I encountered
Mm-hmm.
so as to build them and some of the key lessons that I would have learned
Mm-hmm.
to so I'm currently what would you say, putting together that coach those different coaching packages
Mm-hmm.
um based on situations. I have persons coming to me, especially when it comes, I'm not a disclaimer here, people.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
am not a medical practitioner, neither am I a psychologist or a therapist. However, based on the skills that I have developed, and the things that the Lord would have
Mm-hmm.
imparted to me, I've been able to help persons to um, understand some of the mental challenges,
Mm-hmm.
interestingly,
Mm-hmm.
um, that they would have had, to get a sense of understanding, even when it comes on to emotions and all of that. Like, even I am working through it, but
Mm-hmm.
I have a knack to deduce certain things when they can't put words to it or they can't understand what exactly is happening. So I have that little one-on-one happening.
Mm-hmm.
I'm about to release part two of my book. I released a part one
Mm-hmm.
of my story, about to release part two, and I just keep growing and going. There's
Uh,
no stopping.
so you just spoke about your story. What is your story? I mean, you're
Hmm.
at this place where you're thinking of helping persons, and making sure that certain things that they can't put words to, or they can't understand, that you help them because you would have gone through. But how much have you gone through? What's your story?
Stories many, but I can start at that point of, as I would have named in my book, a
Mm-hmm.
seed to start.
Mm-hmm.
And that has been dubbed a seed to start because of the fact that the Lord would have had some missionaries come to my community when I was about 6 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And that back then they used to have some big screen thing that they put up and they
Mm-hmm.
project movies and stuff.
Right.
And there is this particular thing, it's in my mind, like throughout from that time throughout.
Mm-hmm.
What stood out for me is that light and darkness is always at war, but
Mm-hmm.
light always wins.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, that was a seed to start because at that point, I started yearning after this greater being.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I knew that there a God exists
Mm-hmm.
because mommy used to send, even though mommy never go to church, mommy would send me to church,
Right.
had to go. And then I would just go with just about any neighbor, whether it be Sunday or Saturday, or sometimes both days, I'm
Mm-hmm.
off to church
Right.
because I started yearning after this being
Mm-hmm.
that I'm aware of,
Right.
you know? And so that's the seed to start.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where I think that's where everything started.
But no, you're yearning after this being, but the journey to getting to understand who he is, what was that like?
Tumultuous, if I should say. Like it was a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but somehow, like, I think the seed in itself just gave that bit of hope.
Mm-hmm.
Just if you can imagine with me for a minute, a seed that's sprouting, and then the little stem comes up and the little leaves start coming out.
Right.
It's that sense of hope. So regardless of the things that I was going through at the time, it's like there's this hope, there's this constant hope that remains. There is how where do I pick up? Like
Right.
after that seed to start, things started happening.
Mm-hmm.
Even things that I forgot about. And this is something I covered in part one of my book, where many times we find as adults there are things that we don't like and we don't deal with, and we fail to connect it to something that actually happened in early years.
Mm-hmm.
So in our formative years, there are things that would have happened to us, but because we have swept them under the rug, and you know, we have decided not to handle it, it's like it's in the subconscious, but it's not being dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
And so you'll find that there's some negative emotions or some kind of um, hesitation to deal with certain things, and this
Mm-hmm.
would be because of things that had happened. And so that's one of the things that came out for me when I was writing. The Lord brought me back to some things that happened in early childhood years that I completely forgot about.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have told you, I've never been exposed. But the truth is, when I was about 7, or maybe in this year, the age of 6, at the age of 6,
Mm-hmm.
there was a neighbor who, when mommy never necessarily allowed us to go to our neighbor's house, but there were two neighbors that we could actually go by them. And I remember this lady had her two sons, and there were times when we would play hide and seek.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one of them out of the two that every time he and I hid together, he would touch me. I
Mm-hmm.
completely forgot about that. Yes, I completely forgot about that. And so, if you would have asked me prior to writing my book, I would have told you I've never been exposed. I don't know, but these are things that are buried that was never handled.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my mommy had an incident where she was knocked out. Um, I witnessed the whole thing. I was traumatized. I gave threat to the individual who harmed her because mommy was a safe place for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that just took things downhill somewhat. I moved to my father's home, and just for the little time while she recovered, and a lot of things happened during that time. I'll talk to persons about the fact that I don't like chicken foot. I would never eat it even if I eat the chicken breast, because that's
Mm-hmm.
what I would have eaten when I used to eat it.
Mm-hmm.
But I would never have the foot. And you would think, but you eat the chicken, so why not eat the foot? No,
Mm-hmm.
not realizing that I had a little trauma. I saw them kill chicken, sprinkle the blood, I saw the chicken flattering and all of these things. And at the end of the day, the same chicken was used to cook soup, which
Mm-hmm.
I was forced to eat. And I was crying, I was hurling, a lot of things was happening. I was beaten. And from that, chicken foot and I were never friends. And all I could tell you is I don't eat it, I don't want it, and there's nothing you can do to get me to eat it. But I never remembered what it was. I never could have put to words that this is what had actually happened, why I'm in this place. So there was that. Um, and then there was this over time there was this lack of, what would I say? A lack The sense of purpose was not there for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that life was just monotonous. I don't necessarily like routine,
Mm-hmm.
wherein I get up every day, mommy ensure that we take our shower, we eat our breakfast, we do all of the necessary things, go to school, come back home, do your chores, do your homework, do all of these things, and it's the same thing every day. And
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, life can't just be this. Like there has to, and I'm talking about, I don't reach 11, 12 yet, but this is how I'm thinking. There has to be
Mm-hmm.
something more. Like I can't just get up every day and this is the same thing happening over and over.
Mm-hmm.
And so at one point, in addition to several there, you know how the parents would go through the things, but they'll tell you that they are fine,
Right,
but
right.
you, the child, know that something is wrong.
Mm-hmm,
That
mm-hmm,
was me. Mommy will say you have a very investigative mind, and I think you're in the wrong field and whatnot. But
mm-hmm.
I would always interrogate her, and I would always observe her. I was actually very clingy, very cautious and thing when it comes on to mommy. I don't know if it had to do with the incident that she had, but I kept close watch, separation anxiety and all those things. She have to hide me to leave me. But then
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
And so with all of that, because as I said, mommy was my world and she was harmed. She was taken away from me for a while. And like even when they sent me to school and stuff, I would just always be looking out and hoping that she would show up one day, which she actually did.
So hold on.
God
What
is
what
good.
what what really happened though?
Well, the thing is, for me, I would really love to share mommy's story,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it's one for her to share. And so
Okay.
I barely, yes, her story is great, but she has to get to that place. So I don't necessarily go into the details of
Okay.
her
Okay. Okay.
story. Right. So um, when she was in recovery at the
Mm-hmm.
hospital and stuff, I was
Mm-hmm.
able to go and visit her. But
Mm-hmm.
I did not like the fact that they came to me and told me, she can't sit up for very long. So, you have to be quick and whatnot. And I'm like, I'm my mother though. Like, you just
How
carry
so
me,
how
leave her.
how old were you? How old were you then?
Around seven, 6, 7, it was within the early years, just the same. Like a lot happened within this short space of time
Alright, so how old were you when you were playing the hide and seek?
within that age range.
So you're telling me that most of the things that would have happened to you happened in that very short period?
Several of the things, like I said, my story is like I don't even, when I was writing, it was hard because the Lord said to break silence. And I'm like, break silence about what? Like, first of all, the first thing that came to mind was shame. Me, not talk about my story. Isn't it the reason why I went through it in silence and dealt with it myself or with you, Jesus?
So
But
so
yes,
so hold on. Let me just get something um clarified here.
clear. Okay.
The the hide and seek, when you're playing the hide and seek, the what was the intensity of the touch?
There was no penetration or anything like that, but
Oh,
just
but that
fondling.
sort of, okay, fondling. Okay, all
Fondling.
right. I get what
Right.
you're saying. I get what you're saying
Right.
now. All right. So all of this was happening, but when that happened, what went through your head? It didn't seem as anything to you.
I I was the feeling was wrong. Like I felt within myself something was off, something was wrong. I couldn't put the words, but it
Mm-hmm.
felt like it's not something to speak about. I was never threatened. I don't recall being threatened, but
Mm-hmm.
it felt like one of those things you don't talk about. First of all, perhaps I would have been beaten to hear that somebody's touching me on my private or something like that. So these are some of the thoughts really that we struggle with when we encounter those things at an early age. And my mommy was very strict. So it
Mm-hmm.
was never discussed, it was never exposed. As I said, it wasn't even something I remembered.
So you think it's because of the trauma why it was just pushed back into your subconscious, or was it just that you weren't paying it any mind?
I think it's one of those things that you pushed aside because I can't talk about it. Well, I thought I couldn't talk about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's like you just, you deal with it and you move along with life, and you're probably having the question. Well, I probably was having that question in my mind and stuff, and a little trouble because for me, when something is off, I'm
Mm-hmm.
unsettled, but I have to figure it out, and I don't ever stop until I figure out whatever it is. So I might feel an off feeling,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't necessarily know what it is. But best believe that I'm going to figure it out,
Mm.
and I've
So
been like that.
you've been like that from birth. Is it from your
It
bond?
seems.
All right. So no, no. You're growing up. You're you had a traumatic experience where your mother was concerned. You had that traumatic experience with the hide and seek. What was next?
What was next? As with the monotonous thing that I could not stand,
Mm-hmm.
and the issues that mommy would be faced with, but I don't have clarity and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
I eventually wanted to escape life, and so suicide was next.
You serious?
Yes.
What you
By the
saying
time
to
I
me?
got to high school, yeah, suicide was next. Teachers were my friends, by the way. So I have my few friends, but I spend most of my time with teachers.
Okay.
Um, but when I got to high school, I couldn't tell you what exactly happened or what broke me, but I loved my form teacher.
Mm-hmm.
My seventh grade form teacher, I really loved her and I would write her letters all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so this particular day, I wrote her a letter telling her, I don't remember the full content. I know I had
Mm-hmm.
a copy and she had a copy.
Mm-hmm.
And I told her, I'm going to kill myself and whatnot. And like that was the quickest letter she ever responded to. I don't know if Jesus tell her to read it early or what, but like it's the quickest letter she ever responded to. And she pulled me aside and she said, I'm gonna have to talk to the guidance counselors because this is not something I can keep to myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, if you have to, you have to. And I never made a big deal out of it. I eventually started visiting the guidance counselors and so on. And they tried probing me. I don't think they got a lot, but they
Mm-hmm.
tried.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and still I attempted suicide while I
You
was at school.
you attempted suicide at school?
Mhm.
All right. So you look like somebody when you make up your mind, you just make up your mind. Cause if but what? Okay, okay. You say you don't know what triggered the.
Broke me at that time. No, I couldn't tell you now.
Okay, so my question to you is, what did you try?
I tried jumping from a high-rise building at school. And I also attempted, I wanted to find the way to the roof because my school is high.
Mm-hmm.
And so I tried, we were sitting, my friends and I were sitting one day.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody there talking and laughing. I mean, intoxicated with laughter. Like everybody caught up
Mm-hmm.
except me. And we were there in that gutter, like sitting, and I got up, quietly got up, stepped over the little barrier and went to the edge of that high rise. And just as I was about to jump, I felt two small hands tightly grip me around my waist. And then the tears started streaming down my face. And I'm like, when I turned around, it was my best friend. That girl was my best friend at the time, and she was crying and I was crying, and we just hugged each other and stuff. I went through counseling sessions still and all of that. I don't think I was made peer counselor yet when I tried to attempt the roof. But nobody would tell me how to get to the roof. So that was a bummer for me. But yes.
No, you're serious.
Yeah, because like life wasn't making sense. I am not doing anything worthwhile. I'm just here. And that's how I felt.
So you felt
So,
that you had no purpose.
yeah, I felt lacking of purpose, the purposeless, just here. Like it can't just be about eating and school and showering and chores and just every day the same thing. Like it can't be, no. It had to be more. As I tell you, I love to help people. Like, and it's serious. Like I would when I was younger, I would
Mm-hmm.
leave my home, go clean my neighbor's house, and come back to my yard to clean my yard. I like to help people. That
Oh,
don't make sense, right?
no.
So
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
I would, yeah. And
Me
mommy
not
would tell
even
you,
like clean my house.
I like to do it. I really like to do it. But that's how I was. But there was no sense of purpose at that time. And I was growing and I'm not seeing much of a change. I don't see much of a difference. And that was getting to me.
Wow. So now you're thinking to yourself that the only way is to just end your life.
Escape life. Why not?
But as far as I'm listening to you, uh, well, I mean, maybe because of the close relationship of your mother, you would have uh, been very sad that of the whole situation that she went through, and
Right.
that probably would have had some impact on you. But Jano Star. Jump off a building thing. How many stories you talking about?
I can't count them right now.
Aside high?
No, for real though. Like I've been through a lot. Like I don't look like what I've been through, and I'm grateful for grace.
Yeah.
But it's been a lot.
So
It's been a
now
lot.
you know the suicide attempt has failed.
Hmm.
You are continuing life, still having in mind that you would want to commit suicide.
Yes. And then shortly after, I was made peer counselor. And this is where I felt a sense of purpose because now there were other people with real issues and stuff, and I got to help them. I mean, they spoke about it, like I was on both shifts doing, sitting in classes,
That's peer
when,
counseling.
yeah, were peer counselors. So they made me that through after the counseling sessions and stuff. I don't know if they really had a breakthrough, but they found a solution
So
that
the so
worked
so
somehow.
so so so, so did you? How long did it take you to get out of the suicidal frame of mind?
I was in and out because even when I got saved, that came back. But I think the Holy Spirit sort of countered it for me. But we don't reach there so yet, so I can't tell you. As I say, my story is many and I'm giving you in line.
Okay, all right, continue. Line on, my friend,
So
line on.
after that, at about age 14 plus, I was in about grade 9, going on 10. And my mommy was a security guard at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And she ended up working a double shift on a particular night.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at home with two of my siblings and a grandparent.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, the Lord sort of just pulled me onto himself. This is how I put it.
Mm-hmm.
He pulled me onto himself. I sat by the window looking through the glass section and just talking to the Lord. I said, Lord, I know that you exist, but I want you to prove yourself to me. Show me yourself. Like how I can interact with people and see them and all of these things. I said, show me yourself, Lord. I know you exist, but I just want you to show up and show me yourself and all of this.
About
And
what
I was
age
just
was this? Sorry, about
14
what?
plus.
40 plus. Okay. Mm-hmm.
And so I was expressing, I just poured out my heart to him and all of that. And I just said good night at about 12:30 thereabout.
Mm-hmm.
Told him, all right, good night, God. And I went to bed. I
Mm-hmm.
used to be afraid of the dark, so I would sleep in a well-lit room.
Mm-hmm.
That particular night, I had the baby. As I said, two of my siblings were at home. The baby was beside me and
Mm-hmm.
sleeping. And while I was sleeping, I heard a rattling sound by the window.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I'm concerned, the only way the window should be rattling or making any sound of any
Mm-hmm.
sort is if it's open or if it's being open. But I'm thinking, it just should not be making sound and I'm not getting up and whatnot until
Mm-hmm.
it just kept on going on and annoying me. So I jumped up from my bed.
Right.
When I jumped up from the bed, I only hear a girl don't move.
Where
Hope
you
that's
said
okay to
this
say.
this was the same 14 plus?
Yes, at 14 plus.
Oh,
I only hear
who and you were at home?
my two of my siblings, one that was about 6 or so years younger.
Uh-huh.
We were parted by a furniture because, we're not well rich and all of these things, and this
Right,
was the
right.
setting. It was a big room separated by things. And
Okay.
so my grandparent was across from me,
Uh-huh.
and I was sharing with the baby because mommy is not at home. And when I take on mommy role when mommy is not around.
Right.
And so when I sprang from the bed, that's what I heard. Hey, girl, don't move. This coarse, husky voice.
Mm-hmm.
And I stood there in shock. I mean, I froze in position because when I looked, police them say I must not say that I saw a gun until I actually saw the gun. But
Mm-hmm.
they say it's
Mm-hmm.
an object. But as far
Right.
as I'm concerned, it's a gun pointing at me through that
Right.
window. And
Mm-hmm.
this person say, hey girl, don't move. And I stood there so shocked, frightened. I'm just not moving. until I saw the hand stretching in, opening the door, and I'm like, no, 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 no. Somebody are broken her house. One man I tried broken her house. She jump up out of fear, bed. All she's on is what the machete, what the machete, what the machete. Look here. I can't tell you how I still can't tell you how I felt because if you're saying that the person outside know that we don't have nothing to defend ourselves, oh, you're gonna be saying that though. Like,
It's
don't
just
make it
fright.
look so so have.
It's frightened,
so,
friendship frightened.
so by the time he got in,
So he
she
was still
ran.
coming in?
Yes, what must stop him? The man made his way into my home. And by the way, mommy has been a single parent, so it's not like we had any manpower at home really. So, of course, the man come inside and Nana run through the kitchen door.
Sorry.
So,
Sorry.
no, 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 I laugh about it too. No, it's serious, but I laugh about it too. She run out through the kitchen door.
So it's you and how many children?
Two.
So it's three of you and herself that was there?
Mhm. And she left. She exited the building. Exit. Nowhere to be found.
Sorry.
Right?
Sorry.
No, listen, I am in no ways affected because to
Oh
this
my
day I
god.
laugh about it too. And so she ran out through the kitchen door. I went into the kitchen. I took up three knives, three different size, shape, and style. And by the time I took them up, I misplaced them completely. Don't know where I put them. That don't make no sense. I am in the kitchen shouting, I'm crying out for help, but my voice caved. There was no sound coming, and I panicked because I'm saying, if I'm crying for help and nobody can hear me,
It
how
don't
am
make
I
no
going to
sense.
be helped?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then just the misplacing of the knives, and the man come to me with him gun and lead me back into the bedroom. And so
What?
he pushed me on Nana's bed, and he lodged himself between my legs. Now, my legs are very long. So in my mind, I don't see a way of escape. He started gun butting me and said, give me a F raw version of our language, give me a F. And he was there butting me. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. And he kept on for as many times as he would have said, give me a F. He was gun butting me. And at some point, I would say this is the Lord's doing because I didn't consider myself to be very smart that time or to be quick thinking. But I pulled up my dress as though I was obliging him, and then he started to tend to his pants as though he was pulling or something. And that's when I got away. Don't ask me how my leg got from around this man because he was very close to my private part. So I ran to the same door that Nana left open,
That's
and
the
this
kitchen
man
door.
trailed me. Yes, the kitchen door.
Wow.
And Mr. Black Suit, as I named him, because he was clad from head to toe in black. He
So the
tripped.
two children are still inside the house at this time. Were they
Oh
sleeping?
yes, one of the one the other one that was old enough that could he got up and I signaled to him at one point to stay down because there was nothing he could really do. I don't want nobody to harm him, and so I signaled to him to stay down because I saw that he was going to come out to help sister. So I signaled to him and he stayed down. And of course, I ran through the door. The dog started trailing me, and so Mr. Blacksuit was able to trail me because the dogs gave away my
For your
path that I
position.
was treading. Say that again?
Oh, they gave away your position.
Yeah, I was running, and because this is like 12:31, 1:30, somewhere there in the early morning.
So
And so
there are no
there was
neighbors.
well, they are, but perhaps not. Well, one is was close enough, and the other was probably an empty lot away, or something like that, if that makes sense.
Like two houses away.
Right. Say that. but there was nobody occupying that other
One of
space.
the.
That's why I say an empty lot away.
Mm-hmm.
So I ran, I was running. The dogs were after me, and of course, Black Suit was behind the dogs because they were showing him. I show him
But
where
hold
I
on
go.
there. So what kind of dog them there? Then the dog enough turn and bite him man.
Them come out of them yard and them a trail me. Because of course I am the one whose feet were making sounds and disturbing their peace. So they came out trailing me. Nobody else was on the road except me disturbing them. So of course them coming out. So of course I had them on good lens because frightened me, not friend. So it's either I'm frozen or I'm well in the air and moving. And so I was running, and when I got to this point, I had to make a decision. Am I going to go to my left or my right or downhill? No, to my left and to my right were steep hills rather. Both sides had steep hills, and the path that led straight in front of me, I don't know where it lead. Sad to say, it's my community, but I don't really leave home. So I didn't know where it led. And I decided that, okay, I'm not going to the left, I'm gonna have to take the right because I'm sure where the right carries me and how to maneuver. Now, when I went right, there was this little area that I could have hid. And when I went there, I said to myself, no, but he's gonna wonder where I went so fast and he's going to find me. So, of course, I came back out and I started going up the hill again. About midway the hill, I realized that he was at the bottom of the hill and he stood there watching me. And
So he
then,
saw you.
yeah, he saw me because I tell you, he's trailing me, he didn't stop. So when I'm going up that hill now, and he's after his observation, I don't know what he was looking for. I don't know if he wasn't sure where he was going or what the case was, but he was there at the bottom of the hill, and I was about midway. So when I saw him start to come up, I start to dig the ground because I'm still somewhat sleeping. It's like a whole. I'm traumatized for one. I'm still trying to make sense while I'm moving, and this man is still following me. He's pursuing me, persistently pursuing me. So I decided to dig the ground to find stone because it was a mall road at the time. And I started digging the ground while I was toppling over. And I found a stone and I threw it after him. And the man just shift the stone and keep on follow me. And when I got to a certain part of the top of the hill, I decided to make a right turn to take me back home. And about midway that path, he stood at the end of the lane watching me, and I'm like, I'm gonna hide under my neighbor's step because I'm tired and whatnot. And it's like it dawned on me again, he's gonna wonder where you went since he's following me. Like these are the thoughts that kept on coming. And then I said, I'm close to home, plus my siblings are there alone, so I'm going back to them. So I went and I lock up and I put the little one at the kitchen door and I sat where the man entered. And as I sat there, tried to try to make sense of what was happening, if it was real and all of that. Like everything was happening all too fast. And the only thing I had was a scar. Well, I still do have a scar on my big toe, very little scar on my big toe, and there's a slight stink in my forehead from the gun butting, but it's kind of coming out now. And so with that, I sat there and I tried to figure out like what really just gone. Did this happen? And I looked down on my feet and realized that it was all white from the mall road and a little scratch there and stuff. And I heard some, the cow chains and the sound they make. So I thought I was getting crazy. Shortly after, I heard some big stones being thrown, and zinc roof. Part of our roof was zinc roof. And so you would hear the stones hitting on the roof and so on. And I inquired, where's Nana? Like, since she ran out, like, I came back, lock up the place, and she's not there. Nobody saw her. She didn't come back or anything. But here was this man outside throwing stones, hoping that I would. Well, in my mind, it was in his thought that maybe if he threw stones, I would run out or something.
So
But I
nobody
was
at all,
inside.
nobody at all came out from the house
Do you
close to
want
you.
to? Do you want to hear the community's name?
What? Where community name?
Norwood. You don't come out for nothing.
Oh, that's in
You
St.
don't come out for
James.
nothing in Norwood.
That's down in St. Oh,
You don't come out for nothing.
okay.
Okay?
So there was nothing there to call the police. No
Well, by
phone.
the time I got back home, the phones were gone. He took the phones. He took the phones. So there were no phones when I got home. And so I was there. And as I said, I tried to make sense of it because this can't real. This cannot be real. All of this is surreal to me. But I'm trying to understand, like, oh, you know? And I remembered, I believe it was the Holy Spirit who said to me that the Lord delivered me. Like, he showed up.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, I cannot figure out to this day. I still try to figure out. I still look at my legs and I still try to figure out how on earth did I get away from the man. He was that close to my private and my legs were hanging down. It just don't make sense for me. So that for me was God's delivering me. And I prayed to him. I didn't know how he was gonna come, and this is how I look at my story or
Mm-hmm.
that aspect of my story.
Mm-hmm.
I spoke to him and I asked him to show up, show himself. Look, I never see him physically, but it had to have been him who lifted this leg, my
Mm-hmm.
left leg, from around that man. Because to this day, I cannot tell you how I got away from him.
So
Can't tell you.
while he was throwing the stones, what was happening at that time in your mind? What was going through your mind at that time?
I was just guarding the door and where he entered because I am bigger, though I'm in shock still. But because I am bigger, the thought is I need to, since this is the entrance, quote unquote entrance, because that's a side door.
Mm-hmm.
Since that's the entrance, it's better for me to guard that area and allow my younger sibling to sit by the kitchen door. It's not like it can be opened from outside, but I thought, it's best if he stayed there. And
So
so
so so hold on. So what did you have to protect yourself at that time? Did you find any
I
of the
did not
knives?
have anything.
So
I
you
just
were
sat
just
there.
sitting there?
I was just sitting there because him going put back him hand in there. Like him would know he would be too persistent. No? Who sent him?
Never hold on. So if he came in, did all of that, when you got away, he actually followed you all over the place. It shows persistent and come back at your stone. Well,
Yeah, but he never came down.
he
You only hear the stones throwing from a distance. Like you could tell the distance that the stones were being thrown from. So he wasn't in close proximity.
so I'm thinking that maybe he thinks that you have something now waiting on him to come in, so he wouldn't try to
I,
or take a
I
chance
don't
coming in.
even know if he knows that I went in. I don't know. Because as I tell you, he was a little way behind me. And I took it through my top neighbor's yard and went down and go in my house. So I
Okay.
don't know. I don't know. I'm thinking that perhaps him throwing the stone, some of them landed on the roof or whatever. Because if you're throwing stone and it lands somewhere where someone is, more than likely they're going to run out because they don't want to get hit or. That's
Oh, so
my
he was
thinking.
probably trying to see if you were anywhere close by
Oh,
where.
yeah.
Okay,
That's
okay.
what I
So
think.
he's trying to figure out where you were. Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. So how long did how long did, what time frame did this take? How long did this take?
Perhaps an hour. I don't know. I never had I didn't have anything to tell the time when I got home, but
It
it
looked
was a
like
while.
about an hour. So question to you. So all this time you're now here, you're waiting. When are they?
That's a very good question because I asked the same question. Nana was nowhere in sight, nowhere to behold. And so as the time drew closer, because I was now looking at the change of the lighting on the
Mm-hmm.
outside.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking this child, no, is lie. There was a clock in the house, is lie telling.
Mm-hmm.
There was a clock in the house. And that as the time drew closer, this baby don't miss 5 o'clock. He's up for every 5 o'clock. And
Mm-hmm.
so I asked my younger sibling at that time to take him up and put it. I didn't get up. The trauma was real. I didn't get up. And I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't leaving the door of entrance, by the way. So I sat there and I asked him to take the baby to me. And how did I get the baby? I don't remember how that went exactly, but I asked him to get the thermos and the baby's feeding and the bottle and everything. So I sat by the door with the baby in my hand, make his tea and everything, and waited on him. 5 o'clock on the dot, this baby was ready for food, and I had the food ready. So while there, I was still concerned about where Nana was, cause like, what, where we could, like, I don't see where she could go. She can't even see good. Where she could have possibly gone.
I have one question to ask. About what age was Nana?
Um, am I? She was probably 60 something, perhaps, or 6. I'm not sure. I would be telling a lie. I'm not sure. But yeah, she did. She did. She was about 6. She was near the 6 or after the 6, somewhere there. But approximately 6 o'clock,
Mm-hmm.
there was a knock on the door, and I boldly asked her, "Who that?" Because who could have after this night, horrific
Wow.
night, who could have possibly come and knock on my door now? And she responded, "That is me." So I said to my sibling, "Open the door and let her in." Sir KG,
Mm-hmm.
Nana come in and leave the door open, open mouth go loud. Nana came in and left the door wide open behind her. "Shut the door, are you crazy?" That was my exact expression. Because she had to be crazy. How you missing for all of this action and come in?
And leave the door
You are
open.
able, I am letting you in. I never had to let you in because you left me, mind you. But I am letting you in out of the goodness of my heart. And you come and left the door wide open. No, you have to be crazy. Something must wrong. Something is wrong.
Oh my god.
So when I shouted, she realized what was happening and she locked the door. So as the time, I think it was about 6:15, 6:30 thereabout, I called out to my neighbor because I heard some movement in her yard. And so I called out to her and asked, I told her to come by, and she came over my house, and I started telling her what was happening. I needed a call to call my mommy and whatnot. And I asked her, "Didn't you hear the stones being thrown and stuff? Like, you never hear no noise at all?" She said she heard it, but she didn't really take it as anything.
You serious?
Yeah, because like it's not like she heard my cry for help. Because as I tell you, my voice caved. So I don't know. She heard the stones, but never really. I mean, this is a lot of things happen in Norwood. So I don't know. I'm just saying. So yeah, when I
Wow.
finally call mommy, and mommy come home, I mean, she leave work or she not in, and she tell them, so listen, I heard her telling them, "Listen, me I got me yard, me I go home." And she leave the people that work and come home. And for me, like, I've seen mommy upset in life, but I think that's the worst I've ever seen her, like a real mother in behavior.
Mm.
And she was asking me what happened and whatever, and I was there laughing.
You don't
I'm
laugh.
in, yeah, 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 because I've never seen her like that. So to me, like,
It's
my
funny.
dear, why you behave so kind of thing? But
Mm.
she's hurt that, she wasn't there, all of these things. And I'm just in total shock. Her behavior is new to me because it has never been to that extreme. And so she turned on and started cussing me because me and laugh and she want answers.
Mm. It frustrated her. It
I
frustrated
never
her.
know what else to do. I was there frustrated myself.
Wow.
And she just turned on and started cussing. So if the person should have been nearby, I guess they would have heard. And she had tell them say them to come when she did it, when she's there, and all
Mm-hmm.
kind of something. But I never stayed. And that was like, I've never stayed. I left home the same day, packed and everything, went to give my statement. And what hurt me, or if anything hurt me, if the gun button never hurt so bad, is the fact that the police in all these years have never showed up to take the fingerprint or see if there was anything that they could work with. Nothing. But I forgive them. It
So
just hurt me.
so you went and you gave the statement, and there was
No
no
follow up, no
interest.
checking.
Because what should have happened is that they should have left same time and come out there and look and see. Nothing at all.
That never happened, and it's been teen years now. Like never happened.
Mm, all
So
right,
that's rough.
that's rough. So now you have gone through all this stuff going from age 4 and
It's
high school and almost committing suicide and now almost being raped. Nothing else can go wrong.
you
That
don't
must be
say.
it. That must be it. Tasharae, that must be it.
I would love to tell you that, but that would not be true.
Oh my god.
That would not be true.
So when this was happening, you were saved, right? You were a Christian at this point when this was happening.
No, this is the time for conversion. This is me. The Lord put in my heart to reach out
Mm-hmm.
to Him, and I reach out to Him. But I
Mm-hmm.
never understand what was happening. And for me, I'm perfectly okay with how He did His calling. Like as I tell you, I can be stubborn.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps if He tried another way, it's not like I had anything against Him. I've been seeking after Him for my life since
Mm-hmm.
age 6. So I don't think it would have been that a big of a deal, but the conversion was real. And it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't because of fear. For me, he showed up. For
So,
me,
so it was just gratitude.
it was gratitude for me. I did not see him physically, but that escape is unexplainable. And if I can't explain it, it has to be beyond me.
Mm.
And so for me, he showed up. He was faithful. He For me, that was for me. Others might look at it differently, but that was for me. Like I felt like he showed up. I felt like he was there. I felt like he took me to go. Because what I learned
Mm-hmm.
is that about two or three other females were actually raped that night.
What?
And one of them was sodomized, yes.
And was it said to be the same person?
It was in the same time frame, so perhaps it was, I don't know what it was. It was said to be within the same time frame that I had my encounter. I don't know.
So it was an all-out attack on females that night.
Could have been, because these were also high school girls.
Jano Star.
I know, right?
And the police didn't do anything because not coming out to get certain things is not doing anything.
It's not doing anything. So I was mad at them for a while, but it's hard to keep people in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
I usually deal with my emotion or whatever is happening with me. So it's not like I'm going to have them up for it. I just know that if they don't show up for somebody else, I'm going to be mad at them again.
Mm-hmm.
And until I can make a change, then it's what it is.
So you said there's more. What else happened to you in your young days?
I had gotten a high school boyfriend, and I can't say gotten because I was never the type. All my friends had boyfriend, and I'm not. I never even liked boys, and I didn't know. You see this thing? I tell you about things happening in early stages, and you don't even realize.
Mm-hmm.
In grade 2, I had an exam to do that could not happen because back then they had benches where they sang with you. It's either two girl, one at the end, two at the end and a boy in the middle, or two boy at the end and a girl in the middle. They made the mistake to put me in between two boys.
Mm-hmm.
And exam could not go on because I'm not sitting there and it's not happening. And until they separated me and gave me my own chair in a little corner, exam could have happened. It was not happening. And I could not make the connection. It was not something dealt with. As I tell you, the connection for me was when the Lord told me to break silence and I had to write the book. Like legit, there are a lot of things that made sense for me because He took me back and I had to walk out those things. I had to face them for what they were and deal with them. So that was big for me. I am grateful for that too. So where were we? So I had gotten a boyfriend. They gave me
Right.
one.
They gave
And
you one.
yeah, man, them give me because
Lord have
I wasn't
mercy.
into boys. I wasn't into girls, but I was not into boys. I was not into
Mm-hmm.
relations. Like that's not me. Like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
no, I was Christian, like, but not necessarily a Christian. You
Because of
understand?
the
I wasn't
fact that
saved yet.
because you have been going to church, to church sometime for the whole weekend, so your mind is somewhat saved.
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah. So
understand.
um, when I got news to him about what happened, we decided to meet up and talk about it. This is not somebody I was sexually involved with or anything, but we had a good, I would say it was a good relationship. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
what do we know about relationship? I don't know, but it
Mm-hmm.
was good in the sense that
Yeah.
nothing inappropriate was happening.
Right.
And so we met and we went. I don't know if you have ever heard about Dump Up Beach.
Yeah, man. I've been there too.
We went there and we sat under a tree, a big tree. Sorry, I laid in his lap and I started sharing with him all the things that had happened. And he was just so mad and, like blaming himself and like, a lot of things that was happening there. And while we were there, we were approached by three nice men.
What?
Well, mistake. And this was 2 weeks after my trauma. 2 weeks. I am here sharing with him what's happened. And we were approached and they demanded money and all sort of something. And he was like, but just I go look for left school and man, I really stay so and whatever. I tried to get up and I go in here, hey girl, if you get up, me, I go F you up. And I'm like God, serious, like what really are going on here? So, and I had to just lay in his lap and he tried to talk them out and there was just this one in the lap that said, just leave them and come on. And that person I had to keep my cool and lay down and that person just kept on. God always have them one in the middle that
Mm-hmm.
deals with the anger, the aggressive one. And so they took time and left. And as soon as they left, here we got up and we moved right along and I was just trembling. I was just shaking and shaking and shaking.
Mm.
And we just walked and we started window shopping and talking about other things just to take my mind off of what was happening. And so I got a little break after that because then I'd moved to a country here, like real country. They call
Mm-hmm.
Mobi a country, and Mobi is not country. But I went to real country. um to one of my grandfather's friend at the time, my late grandfather. And while I was there, I was not so in tuned. So I would be around them and I'll get stuff done, I'll do whatever chores and sometimes I'd eat, but for the most part I wouldn't eat and I wouldn't talk to anybody. You could find me sitting by a window or just sitting somewhere staring in space. Their thing was that I looked wild and a little scary for them and so on. And in addition to the fact that I was not eating, they decided to take me to see a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
When I went to the doctor and the lady spoke to the man. The man's reaction was, I don't deal in police case. I don't deal in police case. And I got mad. Because
So
number
this is a
one,
doctor talking to you?
this is the doctor talking to the lady because he wasn't talking to me. He was talking to her. But he was telling her, he does not deal in police case and whatever. Like, who tell you say you get police case? Did you even hear all of the story, or she's telling you that whatever happened and it was reported? How you come to miss my situation? And she had to really just insist on telling him what was happening and what she was experiencing with me, and why she really came. And that's
Mm-hmm.
when he listened to her, and based on what she described, he said to her, she's just really traumatized, she's shaken up and all of that. And he gave some supplements and something to try to get me to eat. But again, it was church to my rescue because we started going to church.
Mm-hmm.
I started loving it. I just started having some sort of closure.
Mm-hmm.
And I moved from there within a matter of months back into the city part of Montego Bay, and then I I got converted like within the following year, like officially baptized within the following year. And yeah, that's just another leg of the journey.
So how much journey, a journey I have?
Listen, I don't even know if this is 800 meter or how it worked, but it's a lot. Because then there's that aspect of, here's this whole dramatic aspect being unsaved and all of these encounters, but then there's this church side, there's this Christian kingdom part to it, and that I'm still living out.
Oh, wow. It is amazing though that it it wasn't at that time after all of that you wanted to commit suicide. It's actually amazing because you didn't start go through anything yet, so to
Barely.
speak, because you that is a story and a half.
I have, I tell you.
That is a story and a half, and it is quite amazing how God can turn things around, how He can, even in the situation,
Yes.
just make things work out for your good. Because I'm certain, or I'm thinking that if that gentleman or that thing or that beast had actually have his way and actually raped you, then it would be a whole different story. You probably
At
would
that
have
time,
at that
at
time.
that time, because I was actually raped. I just couldn't call it rape. So I tell you, my story is a lot. So,
Hold on there, you were
and
raped after this?
yeah,
Lord have mercy. Me not think me
so
can.
like,
Me not think me can. Me not think me can, man. So
it's
you.
a lot.
So hold on. So you were almost raped, and then after you get saved, you get raped.
Yeah. But I blamed myself for that because of the fact that I went with that person where they went. As I said, I'm not blaming being naive, but I was really a naive young lady. I didn't know certain things. I didn't know how to read certain things. I wouldn't know what could possibly happen to just be in a place that is not even, I don't even know what to say about that, because all I did was to follow this person to assist a relative that was not even far from home, but I was going through something in the church at the time because a leader had basically offended me. It's I mark it as a sexual assault because the person hugged me, requested a hug, and in hugging me, I felt an erected penis, and I felt like the person pulled me onto themselves. So that for me
Lord of
kind of
mercy.
scarred my mind. So
Ooh.
it was within that moment that I started to withdraw, right? I became like a lone sheep. I used to go to church 24/7, 7 days a week. Listen, you cannot check church and I am not present. Like I was so into God and I thought that just being there is a part of into being into God. And so because this person is a leader in the church, it affected me. It did something to me. Like if it was anybody else, fine, but not me looking up to you, acknowledging you, basically would call you father, and this is happening. Like, no, what? And I mind boggling for me. I still couldn't put the words. Like there are so many other things. It was that uncomfortable feeling again. And I started to withdraw. I would not go to church 7 days a week again. Listen, I'm not going to church for them, but it affected my walk.
Wow.
It did. And so because of that, I started to pull back. And and then it's like the g- the guys too, they were after me because what they would call me at church is holier than thou. I was not into certain things, not certain conversation, not certain gathering. I basically set apart. And that's how I started out. Genuinely out for God, all out for God, giving my heart like a commune with Jesus. Like it's not even about the Christian setting. It's really me and God on this journey. It's just that I have the bonus of a church family. And so that happened, and then I started to just withdraw, as I tell you. And sorry, there were guys who they wanted a piece of the meat because apart there were things happening in church that I didn't know about. I tell you, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not like I don't know nothing about these things because how can these things happen in church? Church supposed to be a safe place.
Mm.
So what kind of sex are going on? What kind of like certain little things were frightening for me. I shared in my book that one of the things for me is that misconception of salvation. You have this perception that when you get saved, all is well, you're on glory road and there are no trials, but that's error.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that anybody really told me that, but based on how they would have shared, it's error. It's the most trying walk. But if you are walking this thing through with Jesus, you will make it regardless.
Mm.
So with that happening, right, I pulled back and I remember I bought a very tiny skirt. When I say I bought a very tiny skirt, the skirt short. And I wear it on church property. And don't you dare talk to me because I went in rebellious mode.
Okay, so you were being rebellious at this time.
Yes, because like in my brain, it's like it was affecting me. And I never handled that well. I don't think I ever handled my emotions very well because I internalized them. As my
Mm-hmm.
book, the Lord rightfully gave me the name Broken Silence because most of these things, if not all, that I've endured, I did so in silence. So it's between talking to myself or analyzing what was happening and talking to Jesus
Mm-hmm.
in prayer or conversation like I'm talking with you now. Or if I happened to talk to somebody, I would give them scenario. There was this one person at church that I started giving her scenarios, and it's like she started picking up, but she wasn't saying anything at the time.
Mm-hmm.
As I tell you, there were guys who were out for me. I wouldn't give them the time of day. But I had dated one of the pastor's son at the time, and so I think we had separated by then. That was another thing too, because I never know that these people were messing around. Because I'm very serious about my work. If I make my mind up about something and I'm going to do it like you rightfully picked out,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do it. And I'm doing Jesus, is Jesus I doing, and I want to be pure and I want to just be a Jesus girl, holy
Mm-hmm.
and sanctified. And until, because I intend to get married, it has always been a desire of my heart, and the Lord promised me, and I'm going to get married. So
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
that. Nothing is gonna, take my mind from that. Um, it happened that there was a little setup where we planned to get together because he was going out to college and stuff. And usually they don't tell me things because I'm not up for certain things and they know how I might react. So they don't necessarily tell me. What I was told was that we would be having a get together to kind of like send him off and stuff and
Mm-hmm.
whatever. We were there playing games, whatever, everybody kissing up them girlfriend and them boyfriend, and we were there in a very aroused environment. And suddenly couples started disappearing
But
until
you
it got
said,
down to just two
and
of
these
us.
and these are church people.
Yeah, we are church young people. They started disappearing. But for me, I was observing. I mean, I was being kissed and I was enjoying the kiss. Like it was good. I mean, I'm gonna behave like say the kiss never good. The kiss was good, but it does not take away from the fact that I am being aware of what was happening in my environment.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where I heard a squeaky laugh and I could tell which of the girls. I heard the squeaky laugh coming from the corner of the door jam right there, so. And I only hear them a go do it. And in my head, me pull up, because I'm like, what you mean them a go do it? Like, I am having this thought while I am being pissed. Like, what you mean them a go do it? And so when he asked, I sharply told him no. And so that was that. And he went off and we eventually separated. But with all that had happened with that,
This was the pastor's son.
yeah, my boyfriend,
Okay. No,
ex-boyfriend.
I just wanted to clarify. Okay. All right. Cool.
Wait, so yes, so with what happened, what had happened with the leader though happened after that. It wasn't before.
Mm.
So when that happened, it kind of just like I was in question with not only what happened with him, but everything else that was unseemingly happening? Like it's not supposed to be happening. So what's really happening? You understand? Like
Mm-hmm.
this can't really be happening. This is kingdom.
Right,
Like,
right.
am
Mm-hmm.
I too naive or something? I don't know.
That's under
And
I understand.
so there was this guy that they got to come in. He's a backslider.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like nobody can crack this nut. So if there's anybody, possibly this guy. So they got him in and he started befriending me. Now persons might say, oh, you know that, the walls talk,
Mm-hmm.
bush have ears and all of these things, and I can't call
Mm-hmm.
people name, but I was letting on certain information so I can speak confidently on what I know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so this person befriended me. And this person was making sense because, he was talking about the things that were happening. And I'm like, for real though, like how these things.
Mm-hmm.
And he would drive. So sometimes he would offer to drop me home or.
Mm-hmm.
So we became close. We were never said to be an item.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know nothing about this young man, truth be told. We were getting to know each other.
Mm-hmm.
But I loved his conversation. He was very, very conversational, good conversationalist, and I liked that about him.
Mm-hmm.
And so we would have chats and stuff. I would find that when I'm at my friends, like if my friends are having a little eating or if they're just home and chilling and I'm
Mm-hmm.
there,
Mm-hmm.
he
Yeah.
would pop up and I'm like, oh, until we started texting and we all do 100 texts a day and all of these things. And
100 texts a
yeah,
day.
you used to get free texts and digital with them excitement. So yeah.
Lord of mercy.
So that until there was this evening when he came by my house. I was staying by a friend at that time. And I was by her house. I don't think she was at home. She nor her husband was at home, and I was there. And he told me he was gonna stop by, and I said, okay. We sat out there in the car and talked and whatnot. And while we were talking, he kissed me. Now this is not even known. It's not no light kiss. The boy deep kissed me, like him
Mm-hmm.
deep kissed me, and me I say Jesus peace. Like no man,
Mm-hmm.
it
Mm-hmm.
was good. And I'm confessing these things because I am not going to behave like I'm no Sid. I love a good kiss. And this boy kissed me real good. But that feeling went far. And I decided, I'm going in my house and good night. So
Mm-hmm.
I avoided him for a while because of the feeling that I was having. And I don't like, there were too many things happening for one.
Mm-hmm.
And to be adding this that I don't even know is what.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Can't
So I
work.
avoided him for a while. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
avoided him for a while. And so he would try to call, try to text, whatnot, and I'd ignore him. And then I started, entertaining him again because I became like a lone sheep. Like when I say a lone sheep, I was not
Mm-hmm.
going to church as often anymore because of how affected I was.
Because
This
of what had happened
with the
at the
leader.
house. Mm-hmm.
Right. And I'm thinking, I just now gonna be bothered, man, I stress out myself to go nowhere and whatnot, whatnot.
Right.
And I remember when I decided to see this guy again now, he came by and we were there talking and something chilling in his car and he either got a message and made a call or a call came in, something to that effect. And after he got off the call, he asked me if I would accompany him somewhere. And I asked him where, because it was night for one. And I'm not fond of guys like that. Like if I'm into you or I'm in a relationship with you, fine. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm not necessarily gonna entertain a guy like that.
Right.
And he asked me if I would accompany him. So I inquired where, and it wasn't too far from home.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, okay, I would go with him. Went and I did not get out of the car. I was there waiting on him. As I said, he said he was gonna help a relative with something. After a while, he came out and said to me, hon, I think he called me babes or hon, something of that effect. I think it was babes. And he said to me, it's rather dark out here, and you're out here alone, whatever. As me tell you, naive like a what I can't really
Mm-hmm.
see the blinds.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
he told me, it was dark and whatever, and it's taking a little longer than he had planned.
Mm-hmm.
And so he said to me, just come inside to be safe. Because of course it's his car alone out there. The place was barely lit for truth. So that little truth that just make everything else seems as though, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's what
Mm-hmm.
it was for me. So I went in and he said to me, there was this passage that led to wherever he went, and then there was this room. So he told me that I could sit there at the room was at the front, or whatever, however that place set up. It was at the front to me because that's where I entered. And he said that I could sit there and wait. After a while, he showed up with pizza, and I don't know if he did tipsy or I don't know what was up with him, but he started kissing me and harassing me, and I started struggling with him because I'm not even sure what's going on here, but I'm not up for it. Like, I just want to go home. And we had the hustle and the bustle, and he did his thing. I don't know if I can talk about him something here for your program,
Yeah,
but he
we
did
have to
his,
keep it censored.
yes, he did his thing. And while I was struggling with him, he told me to leave him alone and let him do what he's doing. And then he tried to penetrate me. And that's when we had the real struggle because what? This not keep, this not happen. We are go like, what? Like, at what point did we come to like, it was when I say it was a struggle, understand that my hands and my feet were in varying positions because this was a real war. This was me saying, you're not like, I didn't even utter these words, but I am fighting my way through. It's not happening. Here is the naive girl again. After the struggle, here's what he said to me when he released me. You know what, me can't manage you, you're too strong, me have to go left you for your husband. Something to that effect was his comment. I still didn't even pick up that what this young man just said. Him can't manage me too strong, him have to go left me for my husband. So your intention, sir, was to use me to prove a point or something. Anyways, me too decent and proper it seems. I decided that I am not going home smelling funky because me never did I do nothing. Me go bed. I went into the shower. Go bed. Wrong move, right?
Of
What I
course, I
did.
wrong move that.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, I was that naive. Like, I don't put these things together. I don't know nothing. So I am here. Me and my all my concern is I am not going home smelling like sex that I was not having. So I went into the bathroom and I just started crying. Like, I didn't make the sound for him to hear, but I was just there crying and say like, what is this? Like, I don't get a break in life. I don't like all of this. Like, what? And then I remember, look, you're not at home. You need to hurry up, bed and come out. By the time I finished, come out of the shower and something, the man stretch a towel give me. Like, you
So
were
he was in
listening.
the bathroom.
No. He was outside, but he stretched a towel and give it to me. And as I wrapped myself in the towel, here comes this man, push the door, and right on the facet,
So
it all
there
went
was
down.
no lock on the door.
No, it had some other stuff on it too, like some things thrown over and so on. Not that I don't recall a lock being on there, honestly. I don't. But what I did was to push up the door as far up as I possibly could. But you know, it's one of those price you pay for not knowing or not thinking. There was no critical thinking happening there. There was no me trying to figure out what was happening. I was more concerned with being right, which really put me in problem, right? In that I was not having sex, but I smell funky, and I'm not going home like that. Like, I couldn't even bear the scent. And so, yeah, he just took my virginity right there. And for going home, silence the whole time. When I got in, I just slammed the car door going, and that was it. As I got in, I threw myself on the ground, and then I eventually got myself into the bathtub, and I was just crying. I want to die. Like, I just want to die. You know, I just want to die. Like, what is this? You know, especially when I looked and saw the blood, I just wanted to die. I just really wanted to die right here. And then um I just started, I don't know, I was in this space where it was numbness that was starting to happen, but I couldn't pinpoint what it was. So one day the thought came to light the stove and put my hand in it. I did it, right? I lit the stove. Yes. I lit the stove. But before that happened, I started cutting. So I would write crazy bitch on my hand and use the whiteout to mark out the words and then to use something to dig it out. So I would dig out my skin to say that I'm a crazy, you know? And so I went through that. That was a part of the no, I didn't know what was happening, but the cutting was a part of the numbing stage. When I got to that point where I lit the stove now and I put my hand in the fire, I could not feel anything. So I started to freak out because me I say, oh, my finna feel like I can't be numb in a real life. Like how well me never say real life, but you know, how can I be numb? What is happening to me? Like I must feel it, it's fire. You're supposed to feel fire, fire burn. I put my hand in there and it never burned, and I put my hand in there again and I cried. The crying never felt. I couldn't feel the emotion connected to the crying, but I cried because and that's what's supposed to happen because what is happening to me not making sense. And that's when I recognized that I was experiencing numbness. And then I had a disconnect that was a disconnect for me. So the feeling thing wasn't happening. No connection. There were too many things that had happened within that space of time. So yeah. I'm taking a breather.
So all of this is happening, and you're now at the stage where nothing makes sense. Your
Not at
life
all.
your life just go always downhill. There was no victory for you, and that drove you to become numb. Um, what do you remember what was in your mind during that time? I mean, separate and apart
I
from
know
the
I wanted
car.
to die. Like that was another suicidal moment for me. I wanted to die because nothing was making sense. The person I look up to, who supposed to be protecting me for one, was harm. To me, that's harm. How can so you have that seem like the penis has been erected. It's not since you hugged me, it stand up. It was there and I felt it being braced on me. So from that, it was messy for me. Like it was really messy for me. It wasn't messy.
And that is what really triggered.
Pull me aside, like kind of just get me in a lone place.
How?
So whereas I on a night like that, perhaps I would have been at church and probably just coming in. I wouldn't necessarily go out, but I'm not going. As I tell you, I stopped going to church as often as I would. So I was in a lone place.
Wow. Wow. That is this story
It's
of
a lot.
this story of
I don't
it,
think you can get all this. Listen, I'm being honest with you.
it
I'm not
looked
trying
like
to look no particular way, but it's many, and they all happen in like they were quick, and because when you're naive, there are a lot of things that will catch you, and so you just have to learn and go through them. That was me.
wow. A lot of people probably would. My wife is on and she says wow. And
God is good still. God is still good, and I'm
it
still
is.
saying Jesus amidst all of it.
I probably have to have a part two of this, cause your story. You said there is more. We're gone 1.5 hour already, and
Yeah, there is a
and
lot.
it is very. I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you and I'm thinking to myself, how does one take so much and still smile and still have a positive outlook? Because I've known persons who they have had experiences and probably not even half as much as you, and they have given up. They've had experiences and they just reach a stage so quickly that they can't be bothered with life anymore, or they can't be bothered with church. And but yet still you're here, you're telling me all of this, you're still smiling. I mean, we really laughed at Nana who ran and stuff. And but I'm saying to myself, you're it must have been very difficult. It must have been, and a lot of people would say you wanted to end your life is justified, because when you go through so much, there's so much one can take and no more. And these things are happening to you in such quick successions, and there's no break, there's no downtime. It's just a constant flood
Yeah.
of
Back to back.
yeah, it's just a constant flood. And I
A
mean,
couple months break and then you're at it again. If so
and,
long.
and the thing is that it's not even simple things. These things are major.
No. Yeah.
These things are major things. And I mean, how do you smile now? How do you, when you
I
look at,
can tell you. I
mhm,
can tell you. You remember how I started that seed
the
to start.
seed, yeah, the
Light
seed.
always win. That's a message that I have to this day. And then there is this. I look for the lesson in everything. I can I would say that I don't have a people, but I don't think that's true in
Mm-hmm,
all sense.
mm-hmm,
In the moment of whatever happened, I'll be so mad at you and
mm-hmm,
I'll get very emotional and I'll
mm-hmm,
vent. But after that, that's it. And I think some recurring things that happen
mm-hmm,
following all of this was because I was so forgiving and always giving the benefit of the doubt, even when this person has hurt me or tried or attempted things. Like I was just always still so forgiving. And I just had to make up in my mind one day and say, look, not because you're forgiving means that you should still accommodate or allow this person within your space. I had to get to that point. But
mm-hmm,
separate and apart from that,
mm-hmm,
it was always the lesson for me. I look for the lesson. I look for lessons in everything.
mm.
Everything. To this day, I look for lessons in everything. So that I think that's how the grace of God and
My
yeah.
God. Wow.
Yeah.
I, you know, when I called Tamara and I was talking to her, she said, you know, you need to talk to this young lady. And because, to be honest, a lot of people, when I started doing this in January, the idea I had is not where it is now. It wasn't to it was more geared towards having people who are, you know, in a celebrity state, people who are famous, you know, to come on the show so that you can get subscription, you can get likes, and you can get this. But then it all just turned around, and I am now talking to people who a lot of people don't know. They've never heard of them and they've never seen them, because a lot of the times when I post my photos and stuff, I am asked who the person there, and you know, and that's always the question that is asked. And I realize now that one of the purpose of this, and last week I was talking to Bishop Dion Henry Francis, and she spoke of her ordeal going to prison after she was framed for committing a murder.
Mhm.
And it every week when I talk to somebody else, it kind of gives me a little bit more clarity on the purpose of Chill and Chat.
Mm.
And I'm certain that persons watching now are they're very they're very shocked at your story. They can't believe that you look so little bit. You've gone through so much.
I'm very little bit.
You have gone through so much, and it is, to me, each aspect of your story you tell, it's just so surprising that you did not push harder to end your life, because there are some persons who would not, after that ordeal with the almost rape encounter, then the knife encounter, there are a lot of persons who would just give up, you know. And you being here tonight sharing your story, I believe it's going to help somebody who probably not even going through half as much as you are. The other day I was talking to a friend of mine, and he said that his dad was in the hospital on the UN on the 22th wing, and his bill was $7.5 million for his dad's medical bills. And he was there and he only had put about 2.5 and he paid it. So now he had $5 million to pay balance. He said he was sitting down and he was so despondent, he was just about to give up. And a teacher from his high school saw him and touched him and said, what's wrong with you? And he said, boy, I was 7.5, a $5 million bill left to pay and I don't know where to get the money from. And she said to him, I wish that I got that. My bill is $21 million.
Sure, sure. Aye.
And it puts you into perspective a lot of the times when you think you're going through so much things and life is just so hard and you can't bother and you just can't manage. If you should talk to somebody else to find out what they're going through, you would be thankful and grateful for what you're going through, because a lot of us, and I mean, I've been through a lot of stuff, but not half a way you go through.
And that's probably just half. If it reach half, that's probably just half.
And you not reach nowhere in your life yet.
I guess I can give account for the years.
But Tasharae, I am telling you, I'm definitely going to have to come back to you for a part 2, because this is a wow.
It wows me too. It wows me too.
I'm here and I'm saying to myself, this young lady, no good. This is just too much. And I want people out there who are watching now, I want you to take note of some of the things that she has spoken about. All of what she has gone through is physical, mental, and emotional. She go through all of them. Have a physical trauma, mental trauma, and emotional trauma. So you guys need to really listen and really look at the things that she has been through, and the mere fact that she's here smiling and actually saying, hey, I believe that God has a plan, or he had a plan, and he still does have a plan. And a lot of people who would have gone through what you've gone through would not want to get married because they would hate men.
Listen, Jesus promised me, and I am whole. If I don't hold to anybody's promise in this world, the promise that Holy Spirit spoke to me, it stands, and I am holding to it. If he should change his mind, I have no problem. But he has given me a word directly, and I am holding to that word, regardless of the encounters.
I spoke to a young lady a couple of weeks ago called Bonnie. And Bonnie's story was that when she was 14, she got pregnant. Didn't know that she was pregnant, and then she got saved after she was pregnant, got baptized. And 20 odd years later, people at her church still have it against her. She got married in 2019 and
they're not ready.
They're not ready. She got married in 2019, and when she got married, when she was courting her fiance, people were still going to him asking if him sure, if him no sister she have pitney.
They wrong for that. They wrong for that.
And every day I think about it, Tasharae, and I'm thinking to myself, really? But anyway, thank you so much for joining me this evening for part 1 of Tasharae's story. She has a book. Do you have a copy of the book there?
I do. Hold on.
Show me the book. Show me the book.
This is me.
Broken Silence. Are you that on the cover?
Yes, sir.
No, son. Are you that on the cover?
What do you mean? You see that little dot under my eye?
Yeah.
Can you see it?
Oh, for real. That don't look like you.
It's me. Actually, when I took
Broken
this
Silence.
photo, the unraveling truth.
Unraveling truth. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When you took that photo, what happened?
When I took that photo, I actually had both hands at my neck. I wanted to give that effect as someone who wanted to commit. So it's kind of a distressing state, and the photographer catched that. I couldn't decide on what the cover should look like and all of that. And then when I got to testing and trying and all of these things, this is what I came up with. So I sought help to kind of just smoothen it out, and yeah, it works for me. You know?
It works.
Yeah,
it works.
I understand though. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was
Yeah,
saying that I understand why the Lord would have given me such a title for this book. And the fact that he said, the things that I have gone through and made it. There are persons who are going through or have gone through and they are not dealing, like they're not dealing with it well. They don't know what to do. It's like they're on the verge of giving up.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so for me, that I understood what he was saying when he said that to me. So I'm happy I was obedient enough to get that done. I was a struggle, but it was done.
So Melissa Smith says, Tash, I'm an early childhood teacher. Yes, you look children. Yes, you look children. You have been through all of that to help others. Continue to learn through the process. Right? And Annalisa is agreeing with her. That is so true. There's always someone going through more. Oh, she's agreeing with you what you said. There's always someone going through more. Um, so so of course, I want to know if I want the book, how do I get a copy of the book? And
Well, currently they're on Amazon. I only have a
oh,
few.
oh,
Ah,
Amazon,
listen, I made the cost
eh,
reasonably enough to get
eh,
it from Amazon,
eh.
but I have a few copies on hand left, like literally a few. I'm about to release part two, so I may get some within bit by April, May, because I want to now get them in the bookstore
All
together.
right. Okay. So this is what I'm going to do. So when part two comes out, then we will have another chill and chat.
Next month.
So you keep me in the loop so that we can
Okay.
actually talk. Let's talk a little bit of. So we basically talked about part one a while ago, because some of the things that you spoke about, it's in part one.
You scratch the surface of part one, sir.
No, sir.
Anyways, but
Could
it's
have managed to
okay.
take a whole book. So what's the cost for the book? Those that you have physically?
What I have now is $2,000.
$2,000. Very, very not expensive, because some people go in a KFC go spend
But
that for
if
one
I'm
book.
gonna have to send it via zip mail or so on, it might attract 300 to 500. I think the most I've ever paid is 500 with them to send
Okay.
it to parishes.
Okay, all right, no problem. So I have your number. I will definitely call you, and then we see what we can get from that. How
Sure.
do people contact you? Because I see you have coach in your email address. What is it that
They
you're doing? What is it that you're doing now, really?
I am assimilating my coaching packages because I wasn't, though the law is like I was getting the clarity over time, I wasn't there yet. So I never necessarily wanted to just come out and tell everybody that I'm a coach. I was trained by Crystal Day for a 1 day intensive, but I'd gotten materials and so on, but I wasn't necessarily doing coaching per se. I would help persons individually one on one, but
Okay.
to say a charge coaching package, I didn't have that. So that's what I am setting up now. I
So you're
have,
you're 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 planning to become a life coach.
I am a life coach, just not a practicing one in the moment. I am so many things that I just have to step back, and the Lord is just giving me the go ahead now. So I'm now putting those things in place to kind of just assimilate what one on one would be like, what group coaching would be like, and so on. So I'm putting that together. But there's this movement that I'm gonna register. It's not yet registered, but it definitely will be. It's called Shine Through Shame Movement. Shine
Shine
Through
to
Shame. Yeah.
yeah, STS.
So
All right. So shine through shame. So you're putting that together now.
yes, currently
Okay.
doing that.
Well, keep me in the loop. Keep me posted as to the happenings with you, and of course, each time I come on chill and chat, we can mention you every now and then. But thank you so much for taking the time out to talk to me tonight.
No
Boy, I
problem.
tell you, no, sir, people, Tasha Ray gone through 50 years. What a dilemma, God Almighty. No, sir.
God is still good.
and she's still saying God is good, and that is really commendable, because a lot of people would have turned their back on God, asking him where he is. Why is you going through so much stuff, and why is you not getting any break, and why is you not getting any breakthrough, and why is you not being able to do this, and you understand what I'm saying? And a lot of people would be complaining, a lot of people would be cussing, a lot of people would be saying, you know what, there is no God, but you're still standing, and that is really, really something to commend you about. And I thank God that you did not give up, even though after you did plan to commit suicide, whole heap of things happened to you after that. But I'm glad that you didn't follow through with the suicidal tendencies, because then you would be in an eternal hell, and you would
Yep.
not have any way to repent,
Yeah.
right? So,
God is
but
good.
thank you so much, Tasharae, and I'm
You're
going to
most
play.
welcome.
To close out this session, I'm going to play "You Are God" by Jermaine Gordon. And for those persons if someone wants to link up with you officially, Tasharae, could you just tell us how to get that out?
They can contact me by number or email, because that's gonna be the movement's contact 549-876-549-5597.
Mm-hmm.
That's 876-549-5597, or coachtash.n@gmail.com.
All right, Coach Tash.
coachtash.n@gmail.com.
All right, so thank you so much for joining me, and take care of yourself now, Tasharae. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Bye bye. Bye bye. Tasharae there. Yes, Tasharae Nicholson there for Chill and Chat. And what a wow! Uh, what an interview! It's definitely it's wow! It's just my God.
Everything within me.
Oh.
I declare.
Remember that you can tell your friends about Chill and Chat. You can make sure that you check to see when we are on. We're on every Friday at 6 o'clock. Started a little bit late today because of circumstances that were beyond my control. But nevertheless, we are here every single Friday at 6 p.m. And we always have a different story, a different testimony to help you to overcome the challenges that you are going through. God bless you until we meet again. Take care of yourselves, and remember that God is and will always be King of our lives. Until then, this is me saying peace out.
You are Lord, holy and righteous. You are Lord, people, we give you unreserved praise. We say you